What do you know about Down syndrome? I've been blessed with a sister who has Down syndrome, and it has changed my life for the better. She has introduced my family to organizations such as DSNO, the Down Syndrome Network Oregon, and NDSS, the National Down Syndrome Society. She has taught our family a lot about love, patience, and understanding a diagnosis of Down syndrome, and I cannot imagine life without her. Every year we attend a buddy walk in Lake Oswego, celebrating individuals with Down syndrome and our very own Grace. In every cell, there is a nucleus, located in the human body, where genetic material is stored in your genes. Genes carry codes accountable for all of our inherited traits, such as eye color, hair color, height, and more. Typically, the nucleus contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, inheriting 23 from each parent for a total of 46 chromosomes. Down syndrome occurs when a full or partial extra copy of chromosome 21 is in an individual's nucleus. In the year 2000, an international team of scientists successfully identified and cataloged each of the approximately 329 genes on chromosome 21. This medical achievement opened the door to huge advancements in Down syndrome research. There are two different types of Down syndrome. The first one, which is caused by a cell division, is called non-disjunction. Non-disjunction results in an embryo with 3 copies of chromosome 21 instead of the typical 2. As the embryo develops, the extra copy of chromosome 21 is replicated in every cell throughout the body. This type of Down syndrome accounts for 95% of cases and is called trisomy 21. The second less common type of Down syndrome, which accounts for about 1% of Down syndrome diagnoses, is called mosaicism, or mosaic Down syndrome. This occurs when there is a mixture of 2 types of cells, some containing the usual 46 chromosomes and some containing 47. The 47th chromosome also carries an extra copy of chromosome 21. Research has indicated that individuals diagnosed with mosaic Down syndrome may have fewer characteristics than those who have trisomy 21. However, broad generalizations are near impossible due to the wide range of traits people with Down syndrome possess. Regardless of the type of Down syndrome a person might have, all people with Down syndrome have an extra critical portion of chromosome 21 present in all or some of their cells. In 1959, a French physician named Jerome Lejeune identified Down syndrome as a chromosomal condition. Instead of the usual 46 chromosomes present in each cell, Lejeune observed 47 in the cells and later determined that an extra partial or whole copy of chromosome 21 results in the characteristics associated with Down syndrome. This additional genetic material alters the course of development and causes the characteristics associated with Down syndrome. The cause of the extra full or partial chromosome is still unknown, though. There's no conclusive scientific research that indicates a link to Down syndrome with external environmental factors or activities the parents did during or before the pregnancy. Maternal age is the only factor that has been linked to an increased chance of having a baby with Down syndrome, resulting from non-disjunction or mosaicism. Due to higher birth rates in younger women, 80% of children with Down syndrome are born to women under 35 years of age. The additional partial or full copy of the 21st chromosome can also originate from the father, with approximately 5% of the cases having been traced back to them. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 6,000 babies with Down syndrome are born in the United States each year, and roughly 1 in every 700 babies in the US are born with Down syndrome, making Down syndrome the most common chromosomal condition. For centuries, individuals with Down syndrome have been alluded to in literature, art, and science. Other people have recognized the characteristics of the syndrome before, but it was John Langdon Down, an English physician, who described the condition as a distinct and separate entity. In 1866, John Langdon Down published an accurate description of someone with Down syndrome, which earned Down the recognition as the father of the syndrome. The 2 main organizations I chose were NDSS, the National Down Syndrome Society, and DSNO, the Down Syndrome Network Oregon. In 1978, Carson Goodwin was born to Barton and Betsy Goodwin. Upon learning that she had Down syndrome, the Goodwins dedicated their time and energy to gathering as much information as possible and creating more opportunities for Carson to grow and learn just like any other child. Soon they discovered that support and resources were very limited to parents of a child with Down syndrome. Betsy began collaborating with her close friend, Arden Moulton, and in 1979, the National Down Syndrome Society gained official nonprofit status. envisioning a world in which all people with Down syndrome have the opportunity to enhance their quality of life, realize their life aspirations, and become valued members of welcoming communities. The NDSS is the leading human rights organization for all individuals with Down syndrome. DSNO began in 2002 by two women whose children were born with Down syndrome. It began as a small group of parents getting together to share their experiences over coffee, but did not take long to realize the value of a support network of parents and caregivers who are raising children living with Down syndrome or other challenges. Almost 20 years later, the Down Syndrome Network Oregon is a leading local resource for Down syndrome support, offering a range of community-based programs to build outstanding support organizations for friends, family, and individuals with Down syndrome. Once per year, DSNO hosts the Buddy Walk, an event to walk together around the block, praising and celebrating the life of friends and family with Down syndrome. My sister, named Grace, has Down syndrome, and she has been a blessing to our family since day one. Growing up, she's had a few quirks, such as brushing and pulling hair because of her love for long hair and didn't know how to correctly show it, taking shoes because she didn't want that person to leave, and running around causing us to chase her. She attended the same elementary school, middle school, and high school that I did, and although she is 2 years younger than me, she was always able to keep up with the academic level of other kids. She went to prom with her boyfriend and had so many friends in high school that there was always someone happy to see her walking down the halls. After she graduated from high school and was able to walk along the stage to get her high school diploma, she went to a transition school for individuals with special needs, getting them ready for life after school. I've always been able to make her laugh, and seeing her happy gives me so much joy in life. Bryce and my other younger sister and myself always made sure that she felt welcomed and loved by including her whenever we could. Currently, I am working as a personal support worker, helping her even more with life skills and daily tasks, preparing her for life. It has been the best job I've ever had because it allows me to spend time with her and know that I'm helping her and teaching her skills that most people take for granted. Many parents who are expecting a child choose to forego prenatal tests, which cause most cases of Down syndrome to be diagnosed after the baby is born. The doctor usually suspects the child to have Down syndrome based on a certain physical characteristics. Some of the common traits that babies with Down syndrome are low muscle tones, a small nose, an upward slant to the eyes, an excessive ability to extend the joints, excessive space between large and second toe, small skin folds on the inner corner of the eyes, and a flat facial profile. Every person with Down syndrome is a unique individual, though, and could have some of these characteristics varying to different degrees, or not at all. The doctor can perform a special test called a karyotype. The doctor draws a blood test to examine the baby's cells, and chromosomes are photographed and then grouped by number, shape, and size. Upon examination, the doctor can accurately determine whether or not your baby has Down syndrome. The NDSS provides the preferred language when referring to Down syndrome and people who have Down syndrome as well, such as people with Down syndrome should always be referred to as people first. Instead of a Down syndrome child, it should be a child with Down syndrome. Also avoid Down's child and describing the condition as Downs, as in they have Downs. Down syndrome is a condition or a syndrome, not a disease. Typically developing or typical is preferred over normal. Intellectual disability or cognitive disability has replaced mental retardation as the appropriate term. The NDSS strongly condemns the use of the word retarded in any derogatory contexts. Using this word is hurtful and suggests that people with disabilities are not competent. And people have Down syndrome. They do not suffer from it and are not afflicted by it. There are also many myths and truths about Down syndrome. Some of which are, all people with Down syndrome have a severe cognitive disability. In fact, most people with Down syndrome have a mild to moderate cognitive disability or intellectual disability. This is not indicative of the many strengths and talents that each individual possesses, and we must be considerate of the extra time it might take a person who has a disability to get things done or said. Adults with Down syndrome are unable to form close interpersonal relationships leading to marriage. People with Down syndrome socialize and have meaningful friendships. Some choose to date, maintain ongoing relationships, and marry. Segregated special education programs are the only options for students with Down syndrome. Students with Down syndrome are included in typical academic classrooms in schools across the country. The current trend in education is for full inclusion in social and education settings. Sometimes students with Down syndrome are included in specific courses, while in other situations, students are fully included in the typical classroom for all subjects. Increasingly, individuals with Down syndrome graduate from high school with diplomas and participate in post-secondary academic and college programs. Adults with Down syndrome are the same as children with Down syndrome. Adults with Down syndrome are not children and should not be considered children. They enjoy activities and companionship with other adults and have similar needs and feelings as their typical peers. Adults with Down syndrome are unemployable. Businesses employ adults with Down syndrome for a variety of positions in banks, corporations, hotels, hospitals, nursing homes, offices, and restaurants. They work in the music and entertainment industry, in clerical positions, childcare, the sports field, and the computer industry, to name a few. Like anybody else, people with Down syndrome want to have a job where their work will be valued. People with Down syndrome cannot be active members of their community. People with Down syndrome are active participants in educational, social, and recreational activities. They are included in the typical education system and take part in sports, music, art programs, and any other activities in the community. People with Down syndrome are valued members of their families and communities and make meaningful contributions to society. The Buddy Walk was created by the National Down Syndrome Society in 1995 to celebrate Down Syndrome Awareness Month in October and to promote the acceptance and inclusion of people with Down syndrome. The Buddy Walk has become the premier advocacy event for Down syndrome in the United States since 1995. It has also become the world's most widely recognized public awareness program for the Down syndrome community. The Buddy Walk has grown from 17 walks in 1995 to more than 250 walks held worldwide in 2020. In 2014, nearly $13 million were raised nationwide by over 315,000 participants to benefit local programs and services, as well as the national advocacy initiatives of NDSS that benefit all individuals with Down syndrome. If this sounds interesting to you and you want to get involved, you can sign up at the DSNO or NDSS website under the Buddy Walk tab and become a volunteer today. Thank you for listening to my presentation talking about Down syndrome and how you can be a part of making the world a happier, more welcoming place for these individuals.